Hospitality Live. I love my job. I get the opportunity to talk with people who are experienced all around the world, with companies who adapt, improvise, adjust, and keep up with what's going on within our industry. Today, I'm speaking with Chase Hackenberg of Hufcor out of Houston, Texas, the great state of Texas. He tells me
Absolutely.
it's too warm down there, though.
Yeah, it's a nice and balmy down here compared to where you're at.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying before we came on, I had to go get extra water because it's so dry here. There's no way I was going to get through this show without it. Now, Hufcor has been around for 100 years. That's no small feat in any business. And obviously, you guys have adapted and learned and really taken a look at what's happening in the hospitality world. I mean, you're traditionally an organization that builds dividing walls for hotels and partitions. I mean, let's talk about that just a little bit for a second. Then we can kind of go into really how you've adapted into the restaurant service.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, Hufcor is the global leader in operable partition walls, glass walls, vertical walls, accordion doors. Uh, Primarily in the hospitality industry and hotels. We do some in restaurants and then also in schools and office buildings, anywhere there's a space to be divided. So, but yeah, over obviously the course of the last year, it's been a different year for all businesses. And one thing that Hufcor did start to introduce was protective partitions, which is like you see everywhere in restaurants and uh, office buildings and hotel lobbies that you have
In the
these plexiglass.
barbershop.
Yeah,
Like we
barbershop.
were
Yeah, like
talking
you were
about.
saying. Uh, yeah, so you see these plexiglass dividers everywhere, and some people get very creative with how they fasten them, whether it's just a 2x4 or hanging from the ceiling, or like you were talking about a shower curtain
Right.
to divide off an area. But so we started these protective partitions and give people a better option as far as a more durable, more longer lasting solution for kind of dividing and keeping people distanced. Uh, but yeah, that's one thing that we've been working on a lot to try to get into the hospitality industry and offer that solution for all these people.
Well, like we were saying before, I mean, that's not something that's going away anytime soon. I mean, having dividers between tables and between rooms is something that I think is something that's going to be stuck with us for the next decade, especially while COVID and all of this other is still floating around. I mean, having put a safety measure in place like that, I don't see it coming out. The cool thing about what you guys are doing is you're not just throwing together something that is off the shelf. I mean, you guys can customize dividers depending upon the decor of the restaurant, and even have them so that they're super lightweight, so that the hostesses can move them around.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's another thing that is obviously a big thing right now too, is especially in restaurants, how can they utilize their space? So, and that's one of the products that we have, our Unispan system that is very adaptable in existing spaces that we can come in and install and make any space into a flexible space, whether that be, a private dining area, that a larger room that you want the ability to be able to divide it into two separate spaces for two separate groups going on, or open that thing up and have that whole space available for a group. So we have a lot of options, and like we were talking about yesterday, as far as the design of the wall and the aesthetics of it, we can also adapt with different types of wall coverings, whether it be fabric, vinyl, high pressure laminate. Also our glass walls that we can incorporate into that, and different finishes, frosting and laminates that we can put on the glass. So completely customizable. Nothing's just pulled off the shelf. It's ordered for that specific person or that client.
Well, I mean, that's key, especially for something that's about to be a permanent fixture, even though it's movable, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you've got a small pizza shop and you've got 8 seats in the front. You, according to local health authority, you still have to divide these things. right? Or if you've got a big operation where you know want to have a sound dampening area where you can have a portable wall put in there. I mean, lots of times we were talking in the pre-show, and I love kind of throwing back to pre-show because we always have a lot of fun in them. But I've had groups of bachelorette parties come into a restaurant where they're so loud that they're interrupting the other diners. But this is something that you don't always have to have there. It doesn't have to be a 2x4 stud wall. You can put that in, sound dampen it, and you know the people can have a party, or even if somebody's doing a presentation in a separate part of the restaurant. Oftentimes, pharmaceutical companies will host doctor groups and whatnot, and reserve a section. I mean, you can have that as an option to be able to bring it in.
Right, and it gives you the flexibility to have that space where you can, like you're saying, you have a party coming in or a bachelorette party at a restaurant, and you're able to separate off, and have a separate room, but not limiting you to being able to open up that wall once that party's over and still have all that open space.
Exactly, having that square footage.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you have also have the options of, we have anything from just, partition walls that are more, aesthetic site dividers, like with our timber frame glass wall systems, or, our 642 systems that are more soundproofing, that you can set up that can block out, like if you have it in a convention center and you set up that wall and you have a convention going on one side and a smaller group on another, you're not going to have that sound traveling from room to room. So like I keep on saying, flexibility and customizable. We build it for that space.
So for the portable ones, I mean, they're aluminum frame or can be lightweight, and you can even have it on rollers, right?
Right. So yeah, that's our protective partition systems that we have. So we have a freestanding, a cubicle system, and a roller system. So the freestanding is more of just a single pane that's 42 inches wide by about 6 foot tall.
Right.
That's actually a 1/4 inch laminated glass. So it's easy to clean, durable. It's a all aluminum frame. So it's something obviously a little bit better than a shower curtain or a piece of plexiglass hanging up. But then we also have our other options, like we were talking about yesterday with the roller protective partitions that can actually be paired up together, kind of hinged together, where you can have up to 8 of them hinged together, where you can kind of move around easier and set up in different sections to keep that spacing wherever you need it.
So if an operator is looking to put this into a space, do they contact you? They sit down with the designer, kind of trade off pictures of what the place looks like, and kind of pick and choose what they want. There's somebody that walks them through.
Yeah, so that's another thing that obviously Hufcor is very big on. We have a lot of great people in this company that are very knowledgeable, and we have a lot of fun with helping design spaces, or say, hey, this is our problem, we need a solution for it. And we have people all across the world, really, our sales reps and distributors, and then also out of our corporate office with a lot of experience and a lot of know-how to create a space to a flexible space.
Well, let's not minimize the size of the company either. I mean, you guys are global in a real way, right? What other countries are you guys in?
So we're all over the world. We have manufacturing assets in the U.S., which our main headquarters is in Janesville, Wisconsin, and then we also have in Europe, China, Malaysia, and Australia manufacturing assets there too. And then, of course, our distributorships and sales reps spread out all over the place. So we're out there all over. So,
well, with that too, I mean, I don't want to miss the opportunity to talk about hotels. I mean, before we started the show, we were just talking about you being in South Korea. I mean, that's not every day you talk to a business that has that kind of a reach, that works with hotels and works with tourism properties all over the world.
Right. So yeah, we have we have a lot of experienced people that, travel around and for mostly larger projects, but we have that assistance in those other areas as well, from a field side to project management side to everything. So we Hufcor as a corporation, we have a lot of reach, and we work together very well with helping out and making sure that we make projects successful.
So as far as like service, I mean, you guys can service anywhere in North America. And when we were talking about hotels, on our pre-show, I mean, now is the time when operators of hotels need to be and are doing their refurbishments and
Right.
upgrades and repairs on all these things too, when they don't have to cancel the wedding or schedule off a day when somebody might be coming in with a big meeting. So I mean, this is something that you guys are working on. What kind of refurbishment stuff do you guys do?
So that's another thing. Most areas in the U.S. we don't just work on and service Hufcor partitions. We will work on and service a wide variety of operable wall partitions. So one of the things that we do is what happens over time with wall covering, depending if it's a fabric, vinyl, it gets torn up, it gets ripped, it gets dirty. So one thing that we do is we do full recovers where we come in with to either match a new design in the building, whether it be new carpet or new paint. They're just upgrading everything. We can come in and recover those partitions with a vinyl fabric, different type of wall covering that'll brighten those up and make them look good. Preventative maintenance is a big thing that we do as far as maintaining and upkeeping those walls. So it's not the day of the event you go to pull out your wall system and something gets stuck.
That's bad.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like we were talking about yesterday, the day-to-day stuff had slowed down over the past year, but obviously a lot of hotels and convention centers have seen the opportunity to, hey, we don't have anything going on right now. Let's get in there. Let's get this taken care of now, so we don't have to cancel those events once we start picking back up and get busy again.
Well, now's the time to be thinking about that type of stuff, not only for refurbishing it, but for upgrading and, like you say, preventative maintenance. And again, when we're talking about restaurateurs, I mean, we have clients within our network, as I was mentioning, who are building out new restaurants now, and a lot of operations are going back and saying, okay, we really need to rethink our seating, we need to rethink our decor, because when we do open up again, people are going to expect not just the same old, but they're going to expect to see what safety things we have in place, whether or not we've done anything while we were closed, et cetera. I mean, so this is an opportunity for operators to go in and really do a refresh and change the place up for not only for safety standards, but to freshen up the place for when people are coming back, which is
Right.
soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, like I said, it's the time right now that people are saying, well, it's not a good time to spend the money on this. But then again, if you're wide open, you don't have business coming in, and that business will be coming back. So now's the time to get that kind of stuff done. So once you have that business coming back, you're ready to go.
Well, there you go. I mean, do you guys have financing options for operators at this point?
No.
Okay. No, we do. So if you're watching and you need financing, we can hook you up. Econolease can work with you guys as well. So there's a shout out to one of our other members to be able to work with. This is, again, like I say, this is a great example of introducing an organization that's worked within the hospitality community for a millennia, literally. So to be able to see what you guys have done to adapt to what's going on. I mean, this is a company that's been through wars and pandemics and all the worst of the worst stuff, and is standing here ready to be able to help, and knows what they're doing to be and anywhere pretty much on the planet to be able to come and work with your organization. So I love having you on to be able to talk about that, because it's such a cool thing to see companies who have been around this long, but also who have said, you know what, we see a need to be able to adjust what we're doing and to be able to work with an industry that we don't necessarily always directly work with, but this is the time.
Right, absolutely. And like we were talking about yesterday with the flexible space and restaurants, and like you were saying, some restaurants that you've gone to or you've talked to, they're able to keep open or at a higher occupancy or capacity, right, because they have those partitions or plexiglass walls put up in between seating areas. That's a huge benefit for restaurants if they have that. They're able to open up to a higher capacity, and that's one thing that our protective partitions can absolutely help out with being able to separate those spaces. And like also we were talking about yesterday with one of them that you had that were had a millwork guy come in and do a custom millwork and to make it look nice. Well, that's another great thing about these protective partitions is that they don't have a limited line of sight whenever you have them up.
Right.
So you still have that openness, that light coming through. So it doesn't limit you on the side or the aesthetic side of that compared to doing, like what you're saying with the millwork and kind of sectioning off, certain areas of the restaurant.
Well, even some of the restaurants that have gone ahead and tried to appease the local health authority, excuse me, they put a divider, but they only put it so that it's still 2.5 or 3 feet off the floor, basically chair level. So, right. So the bottom part is open. And so they go and they spend thousands of dollars installing this. And the local health authority comes in and says, oh, well, that's great. You have dividers, but they don't go to the floor. Not that customers are going to, sneeze at each other under the table.
Yeah.
Right. But your product fits all of that parameter. So you're not putting people into a position where they're going to spend money, have a customized really product and renovation system in, and it's not going to pass muster.
Right. So, and that's one thing that obviously, talking with any local sales reps that are in the area, having them talk to you about, what the options are and coming up with ideas and kind of being creative with, whatever that space is, whether it be with the protective partitions or our operable wall partitions or glass wall systems that we have. We have plenty of options and plenty of ways that we can design and work around that space to make it a flexible space for that person.
Perfect. It's great working with professionals.
Absolutely,
because they've done it, they've seen it, and they've planned ahead, and they're ready to work with you.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And this is our business. This is what we do. And like I said previously, the amount of knowledge and experience we have within our organization, we have plenty of people here that have been with Hufcor for 30 plus years and have been through a lot of changes, because obviously in Hufcor is constantly innovating and coming up with new technology, new products, and maybe whenever we get on another one of these calls, I'll be able to should have some new ones coming up later on this year that might be able to share with you guys.
That's great. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, reach out, put any questions that you might have. We're going to be going back throughout over the next day or so, answering questions. If you need to get in contact with Chase, then you can put your comment in there. You can also connect with him on LinkedIn, which is probably the best way to do it.
Yep.
And we always go back and interact with the show. If you're watching us live or if you're watching us on the rebroadcast, we always make the opportunity to go back and talk with people who have questions and who want to reach out. Now, if people want to get a hold of you, we are going to have your contact information in the stream below. And Robbie, was there comments or questions that we need to address? Okay. Well, I'm going to not take much more of your time up today, Chase. This has been a great opportunity for us to introduce your products to the industry, to the restaurant industry, to our global audience around the world. And I think this is fantastic to really introduce a company that knows what the heck they're doing. They didn't just come up with this idea to start manufacturing these last Wednesday, and can work with you as an operator, as an owner, as a manager to make sure that when you're putting these in, they're up to code and they're going to last and they're easy to use.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for joining me today.
No, thank you.
So
Appreciate
again, my guest today has been Chase Hackenberg from Hufcor out of Houston, Texas, where I'm jealous that he's there today and we're freezing in Calgary.
Yeah, I keep it all up there. I don't want any of it.
Oh yeah, right. I can't blame you. Thanks very much, Chase.
All right. Thank you.